Welcome back everybody to a very special video because this is actually a card that is on my list of cards I never thought I'd own. But when I took it upon myself to be able to go after the 1948 Bowman set, I knew it was a card I needed to acquire, which also helped me kind of work on a secondary project of being able to complete a player run for the player you see featured right before you with 3 cards, and that would be the 48 Bowman Stan Musial. So this card took a few weeks to get to me. This was the dealer I worked with to be able to make the transaction. It was one I worked with early in the month, and that transaction went really well. But it took a little while for the authenticity process to happen because at first I had to send it all the way from the East Coast, because that's where the dealer was located, all the way to the West Coast. And the weather hasn't been great in the month of January throughout the United States. So it took a little while to get there in the first place, and then it got authenticated and then needed to come all the way to the Midwest, which is where I live. So without further ado, let's unveil this card for the channel. So move that away here. Let's take it out of the container, move that to the side. And here it is in an SGC1, the 1948 Bowman Stan Musial. So the Stan Musial card is centered fairly well, just a little bit off top to center, but what makes this a 1 is really the registration of the card. Although the image is very clear, there's a lot of wrinkling on the card from age over time, and probably like care of the card wasn't so great. But it doesn't have some of the major flaws that I don't like about a card. It doesn't have writing on it. It doesn't have paper loss. It doesn't have tape residue or things like that that just really deter it from me, or it's not missing an entire corner. And the back is completely legible, so I'm able to kind of read about the player at that time this card was produced. And at that time, Musial was a great player, 3-time All-Star, but he wasn't the player that he later became later on in his career at this point, even though he was also a 2-time MVP, starting obviously his career in the early 40s, missing a little bit of time for the war. But here it is. So I'm super excited because this helps me take out more cards I need for the 1948 Bowman set. So it gets me down to 16 more cards that I need to be able to complete that set. It also helps me with my Stan Musial run. I have 2 more regular issued cards. That would be the 49 Bowman, which hopefully I can still maybe work on getting this year. And also the 48-49 Leaf, which isn't on my list of cards to be able to try and target for this year. And ideally, I think once I'm done with those, I would like to be able to go after the tobacco cards, so the Red Men's for Stan Musial, as well as the Red Heart card that everyone has talked a lot about in the hobby, and it is greatly coveted within the vintage card collectors because it's just a beautiful card. But that is what I have for you. I hope you guys really enjoyed this as much as I did. I'm super excited to have this into my collection. Again, it's just a card I never thought when I was younger I'd be able to kind of get my hands on. And just kind of goes to show that with time and with patience, and obviously with some resources, you can work towards getting some of those cards from your youth that you really wanted to be able to acquire. But it just obviously takes time, finding the right deal, finding the right price, and being able to have the wherewithal and the resources to be able to execute on it when the opportunity does present itself. So that is what I have for you for today. I hope you guys greatly appreciated this, and I will be back soon.